Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking, and I wish I could tell you that I found a Mercedes 300 SL Gull Wing in the junkyard. Well, not so fast. This is something called a Bradley GT2. Now, Bradley was a company that made kit cars founded by David Bradley Fuller in Southern California, but he set up shop in Minnesota between 1970 and 1981, building cars like the Bradley GT, and after 76, the Bradley GT2 with the closed cockpit and Gull Wing style doors. But you're not fooling me. These are definitely not Mercedes-Benz parts right here. But the beauty of the Gull Wing, or the Bradley GT2, was that it was based on a Volkswagen Beetle chassis, which brings us to Road and Track right here. This, of course, is June of '73 with the big 450 SE Mercedes-Benz. But more importantly for us, on the left-hand side, Bradley GT ad. Now that's the GT. Notice the belt line dips down, and it's not a Gull Wing. This is not the GT2 with the Gull Wing doors, but a humble beginning for Bradley. And these actually utilize Chevy C3 Corvette windshields, whereas the GT2 was a little different. But interesting, on the right-hand side, look at that, the Beetle ad right next to it. And yes, that is the bones right there. The floor pan from that is what you would put underneath your Bradley GT or GT2 to create a a poor man's Mercedes-Benz Gull Wing. Speaking of which, Mercedes launched two Gull Wings, let's put it that way. This is Car and Driver, December '69. This is the C111, a rotary powered Mercedes-Benz. And in fact, here's a second look again at that Volkswagen floor pan right there. From 49 through the end of the line, about an 82.3, whatever it was, the same basic 95-inch wheelbase platform was very popular with builders of kit cars like this. But inside of here, here's a look at that C111, and we can see right there the original 300 SL and the C111 with the Gull Wing doors. Legendary stuff right there. And you know, if it's good for Mercedes, it's great for Bradley. And we can see right here, that's the beauty of the Gull Wing right there. Not to be confused with a Lambo door, of course. The Countach is a door that hinges at the front and comes up like that. Scissor doors. This ain't that. But with that said, unlike a dune buggy, like a Myers-Manx, those things, you had to take that Volkswagen chassis and cut a foot out, shorten it up to have like a classic dune buggy. Not so here. With the Bradley and the Bradley GT2, they basically would utilize the stock 95-inch wheelbase, and the fiberglass body would go right on top of it. But again, you're not fooling me with, basically it's hardware store fasteners and stuff. But again, the idea was there. These things weighed about 200 pounds less than the Volkswagen Beetle they came from, so performance wasn't bad. Now, Bradley wasn't the only game in town. A company called Fiber Fab offered this thing here, the Avenger GT12. And again, this is based on a Volkswagen floor pan. You can see right here. This is a model kit, basically same idea. And again, the Fiber Fab was a mortal enemy of Bradley. They were two of the big names in fiberglass kit cars back in the day. But we all know that this is not a Ford GT. This is a Ford GT. You're not fooling anybody. Again, the GT, of course, had that big 427, etc. And these kits both, by the way, are from IMC, Industrial Motive Corporation. These were both made around late 60s, early 70s right here. But as we dig around this, it's an interesting mixture of, aftermarket, almost, I don't know, motorboat fiberglass type architecture, which is not quite automotive, and OE bits and pieces. The dash structure is definitely bespoke, as they say, to Bradley. It's not from a Camaro. It's basically a fiberglass shell. But again, some of the switch gear and stuff perhaps is from an OE application. The center console is a lightweight fiberglass item. It is not like, again, from a Camaro. We can see that it's very thin, and again, quickly, it's probably a molded plastic piece. But again, it looked the part, but your Volkswagen shifter would come up through here, and you'd have yourself a center console in your Bradley GT2. At the back, this would have had a hatchback with the hinges, once again, right out of the hardware store. We can see right here, there would have been some kind of a glass hatch, I think, right here, which has been trapped there and lifted up. But again, the fiberglass construction. Something unusual, too, is the way the roof is optional. You can actually run these with or without the roof. So you had a choice of a Roadster or an actual, Mercedes-style Gull Wing. Now this is glass right here, so I'm not sure what application that is. Kind of looks like Mustang, don't know. But a lot of the time, these aftermarket companies would utilize things that were adaptable from a regular production car. Why reinvent the wheel? Now getting back to the Volkswagen origins, this is the engine cover. No, it's not up front. This is the fiberglass lid. You open this thing up right here, and you would see a Volkswagen flat 4 sitting right here. A little bit of fiberglass insulation right here. Not sure if this car was ever finished. Doesn't look it. Looks like maybe somebody bought it and lost interest. Not sure. But we also don't want to confuse this Bradley GT with the mighty Monteverde High. If you've never seen one of these, well, welcome to the world's first Hemi-powered exotic. Of course, Monteverde, Peter Monteverde, was a Swiss industrialist, and High means shark in German. Why would they call us a shark? Well, with a 426 Hemi mounted midship, that would be a good reason to call it a shark. This thing would chew up pretty much anything. It says here, you have to be a little nuts to buy one of these. Peter Monteverde, the jut-jawed ex-racer from Basel, Switzerland, only plans to build one Monteverde High shark every 6 weeks. Call it 8 a year from his surgical shop, which in its existence has completed 100 Monteverdes of all kinds. And it says here on the second side, one of only 4 highs built so far is a California resident. Monteverde is an exemption to crash testing. Big Brother obviously doesn't want to spend that sort of money. Apparently, the government has to buy cars that are going to be crash tested. So we can see inside here, again, the 426 Hemi. Look at that thing. The Monteverde High with those Barani wire wheels, a ZF 5-speed manual. You could also get a 440 Magnum if you wanted, but this is the mighty 426 Street Hemi in this High. 2 of these things still exist. There's one in the Monteverde Museum in Switzerland. It's a real car. And if you can't afford the real thing, there's always the Matchbox. That's right. Matchbox did the Monteverde High model, little die-cast metal car here back around 1973, something like that. And 1973 made in England. They didn't try to replicate the Hemi, but they did do the dual exhaust pipes coming out the back. And of course, no Gull Wing doors on the High. These were just basically standard, automotive doors. With that said, let's continue our walk around this. Now again, the taillights on this thing, I'm not sure what they were from. They were larger than standard. Perhaps made by Bradley. They had the ability to make almost anything in fiberglass. But here, right here, sometimes you have to play a detective in the junkyard. And what I mean by that is this is a Volkswagen for sure. Somebody sliced the body away. Here's an engine in the back. There it is right there. But if you look really close, this is a fuel injected. This is a Volkswagen 411, not a Beetle. So it's possible somebody bought this thing with the intention of adding the Bradley GT2 body to it and then realized the Beetle and the 411 are very different cars. It ain't gonna work. They already started slicing the body away. Who knows what they were thinking, or it's possible this just happens to be parked next to this Bradley GT. And again, these 2 cars ain't talking. That's one of the bummers of the junkyard. I kind of have to add in the details. But I like how it has a little sunroof here. A translucent panel would go here and on the side. But again, Gull Wing doors. I like the lightweight. I mean, these things were 200 pounds, again, lighter than a Volkswagen Beetle in steel. And we come up here, we can see again that the roof is removable. And what do we have underneath here? Yeah, I guess it's just basically a Roadster. I'm not sure what they would have you do about the windshield in Roadster mode. But again, this one here is not finished, and I don't think anybody ever started this one. It doesn't look like anybody's drilled in or tried to attach the roof in any kind of a permanent way. Looks to be right here, these little ball sockets, perhaps were for hydraulic struts, like on a Vega hatchback or something that might have helped to keep the Gull Wing doors in the up position when they were lifted. Let's go around to the front and take a peek at how Bradley explored or dealt with headlights. Of course, any road-going car, even if it's a kit, has to have the ability to drive at night. We saw the taillights, but on this thing here, there we go, right here. Okay, retractable headlights, and not too shabby. Fiberglass, round sealed beam bulb right here. The actuator on this, I'm not sure what it would be. I would bet probably a cable or a rod. I can't imagine electric motors on something this simple and inexpensive, but again, kind of a cool little effect, kind of like a C4 Corvette, a little bit. So again, here we have it. It's not a Mercedes Gull Wing, not even a C111, not even a Ford GT. This is a it's a Bradley, not a Fiberfab, 2 different things, cat and a dog, Hershey and a Nestle, Pepsi and Coke. This is a Bradley GT2. Now, Bradley went out of business in 1981 amid bankruptcy, lawsuits. It got ugly. But for 11 years, Bradley made the GT and GT2 to give owners of Volkswagen Beetles, well, a small shot at glory. Now, you got to wonder, if you met a gal who thought this was really a Mercedes-Benz, would you fool her for much longer than about the first 2 minutes? I don't know. Not my problem. With that said, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Steve Mag's YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, and hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out, which is tomorrow morning.